Okay, welcome to EdXL GCE Religious Studies, Paper 4 Buddhism, and we're looking at the teaching, the finding, the Sangha, and today, at this video, the Buddha's passing away. Now, the Buddha became enlightened, so he became someone who had experienced Nibbana. But when he died, when he passed away, he experienced Parinibanna, right? Well, what do those two words mean? What's the difference? Well, Nibbana literally means the blowing out, and it refers to the extinguishing of the three fires or the three poisons in this life. So desire, hatred, uh, ignorance, and we'll learn these are things that these keep the cycle of samsara going. And if you've got rid of these, if you've developed the opposite, instead of ignorance, you develop wisdom. Instead of hatred, you develop love. Instead of desire uh, and lust, you develop generosity. Or then you are someone who's achieved nibbana. Uh, Now, Nibbana can refer to the general extinguishing of the fire of samsara. Um, the word kanda, as in the five khandas or skandhas, really refers to bundles of kindling that you'd find in a forest floor. Um, what a person is a mass of khandas, and these khandas are in fire, and Nibbana refers to the blowing out of that fire. Um, So what then is Parinibanna? It means Nibbana without remainder. That's the pari bit. Uh, it's a very odd term. It was used by English Buddhologists to differentiate between Nibbana and Parinibbana. It's Nibbana without remainder. It refers to the idea that when you achieve Nibbana, you still have residual karma or karma to use up. You're still in this life. You're still alive. You've still got a body. For a new Buddha or Arya, this refers to all the things they possess when they become enlightened, including the body. There are things you possess that are partly caused by your previous karma. So Nibbana without remainder does not imply that you continue to have, but rather the results of previous karma that you do not yet have physically parted with. So your physical body, all the skandhas you'll learn about in another lesson. A helpful image, perhaps, is the Buddha said that rebirth was like one candle passing a flame to the next when when explaining the skandhas. Not very much gets passed, doesn't it, from a flame at best. But when you enter Parinibbana, the flame itself is just blown out. The final blowing out of that flame is a way of thinking about it. Nibbana without remainder. So if you become enlightened right now, then despite no longer having any karmic seeds, you still, so seeds that will, karmic formations that will generate a rebirth, such as, your clothes, your smartphone, but most of all your body. Parinibbana without remainder then literally means the final Nibbana. When an enlightened being dies, he or she parts the very last thing as a result of the previous karma of the body. So it doesn't refer to any new or higher state of mind, but the bliss of Parinibbana is exactly the same as Nibbana, except you've nothing left. It merely refers to the parting with the final things you possess that were caused by past karma. By the time the Buddha was 80 years old, he had long since, Buddhists teach, parted with his old clothes, his begging bowls, etc. But he still had his body, even though he was enlightened. So Parinibbana has slightly different views in Theravada and Mahayana. For Theravada, Parinibbana represents the end of the Buddhist path. When an Arhat dies, there is nothing left to drive that person into another rebirth. After death, Theravada thinks Buddhists and Aryats no longer interact with the world, but enjoy the bliss of Nibbana in some kind of non-physical state, union, as it were, with the universe. This is why there's no evidence. There's evidence. This is why there's evidence that they do not believe the Buddha can respond to their prayers because he has gone beyond samsara. In Mahayana Buddhism, however, for Mahayana, on the other hand, Parinibanna is something of a redundant idea. They came to sort of reject it in a way. Bodhisattvas and Buddhists do indeed go through uh, and when they die the first time, Parinibanna, but they continue to be reborn after. I'm just going to change that. There we go, folks. But they continue to be reborn, and again, in order to help other sentient beings. Like Aryats, they no longer have karma, driving them to their next lives, so they can be born again. It's because they are free from that they can use their own power to choose the manner of their birth. They do this because they have bodhicitta. Remember this term from the beginning, meaning they just have real love and compassion, desire to help other people. Parinibanna, the Mahayana Buddhist thinks, is a process with that they aspire to remain in this disembodied state. They don't, they don't want to be in a state of disembodied inactivity, but helping us. So it's kind of like somebody retiring and still doing the same job they do in this life. The Buddhist, in their view, is still helping us, can still answer our prayers. And there's not just the Buddha, there are lots of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas in this celestial realm who can help us. A famous one is the Fat Buddha, or the Maitreya of future Buddha, Bodhisattva of loving kindness. And it's a complex one because he is an image that is drawn from another religion that predated Buddhism. But nevertheless, if you pray to Fat Buddha, especially if you've got a statue of him, you rub his belly, he can bring you good luck and prosperity. Isn't that interesting? There are lots of other Buddhas or Bodhisattvas who can help us. In Pure Land Buddhism, the Western variety of Pure Land Buddhism, Amitabha Buddha is one of these. Karma, it's not so much karma, but goodwill or grace, the grace of Amitabha that gets you saved, that gets you from not being rebirthed. And you enter this Pure Land. Now, this Pure Land is really hard to get your head around. It's not kind of supernatural. It is a bit, I suppose. It's more of a poetic metaphor, and it's full of crazy ideas. Like you're born into a lotus flower. Somehow you're purified, you're cleansed of your karma. You just have to sort of say that you like a certain thing you say that you want to be one of his followers, so that you step out of you were in a Nibbanic, and then you step into a post-Parinibbanic state already. So the attainment of Nibbana and Parinibbana is instantaneous and concurrent in Pure Land Buddhism. It's sort of Buddhism for the masses. It goes back to the 1st and 2nd century. Amitabha made these sort of 48 vows to create Buddha land, and in particular it's vow 18, where he says he's going to create a world system that will provide perfect environment for all beings to attain enlightenment. Thus developed the Pure Land devotionalism in China. Other forms of enlightened theory of what enlightenment is, or understanding of the Buddha, perhaps in Zen Buddhism, the Buddha became a Tathagarbha, or he developed Buddha nature, and any one of us can develop Buddha nature. And it leads to the conclusion that he did not need to seek Nibbana, but to realize that he was already one with Nibbana, which is what Zen Buddhists, you're already one with the universe. You just have to realize it. There's no difference between the biotic states of mind and samsara either. If Nibbana and samsara are the same, then it reduces the notion that Parinibbana is some other place you need to get to in Zen Buddhism. So that's the end. Listen again for next week's lessons.